The series Watchmen had an impact on comics so significant it probably can't quite be completely measured, but one byproduct of the series' success was it sparking a new interest in British comics and their creators, and for many of us this led to V for Vendetta, which Moore co-created with David Lloyd, exposing mainstream superhero comic readers to the power of dark indie comics. So when I met Lloyd at Comic-Con 2011, he detailed his unique artistic approach to comic storytelling, and that's coming right up on Hero Journalism. Hello Heroes, 4Kade here with a closer look at the diverse artistic techniques employed by David Lloyd, as described in his own words. When I first started collecting comics as a kid in the 80s, I was pretty much a Marvel zombie, and in the 90s I expanded my tastes, and V for Vendetta was a key step in that progress. I was so struck by his dark and distinctive illustration that the first question I asked was where he felt that style fit into the broad tapestry of the world of comic art. But he told me that really the whole premise of my question was wrong.
Well, my viewpoint is that I try and change my style to fit the subject and wherever I am.
What I didn't know when I asked that question, which contrasted his work to traditional superhero comics, was that Lloyd actually cut his teeth creating his own superhero Night Raven, which appeared as a backup story in dozens of 1980s Marvel UK issues. And had I found them in my local comic shop's quarter bins, I would have definitely picked a bunch of those up. So, Lloyd went on to gently inform me that V for Vendetta doesn't really represent his art style at all, because he purposely changes his approach and adapts different art techniques to the specific material he's working on at any given moment.
I've done all kinds of different work, and what I try to do, wherever I am, is to tell a story in two ways. One, to fit the needs of the publisher. And suppose, for instance, if you're working for Marvel, they have a kind of need that goes right back to the sort of like the Jack Kirby days of a kind of dynamism. There is a kind of particular house style. And I always bore that in mind in anything I did for Marvel. Even Marvel UK. I've only worked for the US Marvel very briefly. But Marvel UK had exactly the same kind of needs and demands, and I've always tried to fit into that kind of template. In other work I've done, it's a matter of tailoring the style for whatever the story is. I'm generally known for sort of like pretty dark style of stuff, which mainly comes from what people most know me for, which is Vendetta. But I've done comedies, I've done all sorts of other things. I'm naturally attracted to sort of like thrillers, so there is an ingrained kind of interest in me and in my style, which is kind of dark. But I've done comedies. I'm enough of a professional that I can change. But it's true that my style is not regular conventional. And I think that's because I don't come from that tradition. I think lots of American artists who want to work in comics have been brought up on the Marvel method and on superheroes generally with DC, which always demands a kind of very bombastic, exaggerated, dynamic style. Whereas my beginnings were in English comics, which were more mannered, and where there was a kind of more of a differentiation in style for the subject. So I guess I'm a kind of blend of American influence and English influence, but I'm enough of a professional to change those styles according to exactly what's needed.
That was British indie artist David Lloyd talking about his unique use of varying art styles to his comic work. We have more coming from that interview with Lloyd, including his thoughts on the V for Vendetta movie, and including an attempt to adapt that comic into a film back in the 1980s. Yes, that really happened, or almost happened and didn't happen. So thanks for watching. Please give us a subscribe, and we'll see you here next time on Hero Journalism.